What's up, Leafs fans? Welcome back to another Leafs Nation After Dark. I'm Zack Phillips, and tonight we're going to be breaking down game number 77 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, defeating the Pittsburgh Penguins 3-2 in overtime here, moving to 45, 23, and 9 on the season. But more importantly than Austin Matthews getting to 65, more importantly than getting another win under your belt and fighting off Sidney Crosby on his push back, you eliminate and absolutely crush the dreams of one Kyle Dubas, who was up in the crowd hoping to keep it alive here tonight in Toronto from the press box. You know, maybe you never know, maybe he's up there yelling at fans, getting into it, whatever, because that's just who he is. But that dream was ripped away from him tonight by collectively Austin Matthews in the third period to take the lead, force the Penguins to have to come back. And then Austin Matthews again with a beautiful pass across to Jake McCabe, who's able to bury and finish that one. Michael Bunting not able to score after walking away from the team in the offseason. Hold him off the sheet. This was a beautiful night for this Leafs team to just end that dream for Kyle Dubas, who just needed to keep it going. They needed to keep their playoff hopes alive, and it's not going to be the case. They're not going to be able to get it done, but we'll break it all down here tonight. We'll continue to talk about everything that went on in the game. We'll talk about 65. We'll talk about Marner's play, who I thought was pretty good here tonight. We'll talk about the first line, some stats that I saw earlier today that kind of support them keeping it together. And if they're going to go against it, then I think we all collectively get our pitchforks and riot outside of Scotiabank Arena based on that. We'll break it all down. We'll break down Ilya Samsonov, and we will also talk about Sidney Crosby and why I think this Leafs team, if there's any game to ever walk away from and learn lessons, this is one that I hope that they maybe can take something away from and ultimately sit there in the room after and say, hey, you know what? That 87 on the other side, that guy who's one of, if not the best players in the NHL, one of the best players to have ever played the game, an active player who's among the top 100 in the top 10, if you could sit there and take away anything, you learn any lessons from this game here tonight, it might be, hey, that's how you put your team on your fucking back. That's how you say, we're not getting out of the fight. We're not going to go down without swinging. We're going to fight back and do every single thing we can. And it's not going to come from Bobby McMahon and Pontus Holmberg and Matthew Nyes. It's going to come from the backs of your best players, the guys who are the leaders on the team, and they're going to be the ones to take charge and try to get things done. Because what Sidney Crosby did here tonight, the way that he played in this game, the way that he's played over the last little while, genuinely, if this team made the playoffs, I think we would have had to be looking at Sidney Crosby. I don't think you would have won it, but you'd have to be looking at him as a Hart Trophy nominee for one of the most valuable players in the league, because over the last little while, he basically just said, forget this. I don't like the idea of missing the playoffs. I don't want to do this year, no matter the team that Kyle Dubas constructed around me. So I'm going to do everything I can to will us into a spot. Will us into a spot. Sidney Crosby is a true pros pro. And if those guys can learn anything here tonight, if they're going to learn any lessons, hopefully they did tonight by watching what number 87 did across from them, because that guy is phenomenal. And the way he conducts himself, the way he approaches the game, the way he has a never give up attitude, that's what you just pray that your best players would have. And I feel like that's partially what's been lacking over the last little while when we've got to the playoffs. Hopefully that's going to be a little bit different this year with these guys. And you know what? Ultimately, I think it might be, especially given what we've seen out of these guys over the last little while. When you look back to the Florida game, holding off, you obviously gave up that lead. They got their opportunity to come back into it, but they just can't quite get it done. The Leafs hold them off, win that game. You look at the game against the Habs. We talked about 4-0. You could take your foot off the gas. They probably did a little bit. The Habs are able to score 2, make it 4-2. You hold off and you get the job done. Here tonight, the Penguins, you make it 2-1, they send it to overtime, you got it done. How many times in years past are we watching this team and seeing those collapses? We're seeing these leads, they get blown. You see a 4-0 lead to the Habs, we end up in overtime. Even if you win that game, you probably have now gone to overtime. These are just have been blown opportunity after blown opportunity after blown opportunity in the past few seasons. And basically since Matthews and Marner and Nylander and Tavares have been here, part of this team, part of the fabric or the biggest pieces of this team. And yet basically kind of where we're at now is you feel like you can have some type of trust, some faith in these guys at least, where, yeah, we're going to be scarred from years past. You're going to have that tissue built up with you where you're just going to sit there and say, they'll blow this one because they're the Leafs and they do. But now basically for the past month and a half, it's kind of changed the trajectory where it's not felt like, oh, this is certain that it's going to go away. We obviously feel that concern, but they've done a pretty good job of not letting these ones slip. These big leads that have been happening that you just look at and you constantly feel like, I have to bet on the other side of this one. I have to bet the Habs down 4 here because it's the Maple Leafs. They give this up. I have to bet the Panthers down 4 goals going into the third period because it's the Maple Leafs and they give this up. I went into that stream after the Panthers game and I was a little bit frustrated because I watched 40 minutes of incredible hockey and then I watched 20 minutes of just getting basically caved in your own zone the entire time. Just getting absolutely caved in. And yet, Rosie came on the stream after and he reminded me they got it done. They held them off. And Leafs fans in years past, we would have sat there and we would have watched them lose that game. We would have watched it slip away. It feels a little bit different. It feels like the guys like Tyler Bertuzzi, like Max Domi, like Benoit, McCabe, Reeves, like the mindsets of these guys, they just don't let that happen. They're not interested in having these blown leads. They're going to do everything they can, whether it's Bertuzzi up 4-2 with 45 seconds left, sprawling around blocking shots. If it's Simone Benoit smoking guys in the corner and committing to getting pucks out of the zone. It doesn't matter. They're finding ways to get it done right now, and I think that that's a positive that we can take away. I will say, one of the things that was a bit concerning about tonight's game, it ended up being a backbreaker, or it ended up being something that caused the first goal for the Penguins there. It was something that caused Rickard Rakell to get that opportunity where he scores against Samsonov to open up the scoring here tonight. Ilya Lyubushkin, I think there's some concern there with a hard forecheck under pressure. I'm a little bit concerned about the idea of him receiving pressure. Like, I'm not that concerned about the team here themselves because they were able to hold off on it and they were able to close out. But again, it's just the concept of, are some of these guys going to be able to withstand it? You know, we look at Simone Benoit and his puck carrying ability and his ability to transition the puck up the ice every now and then. That can get a little bit concerning to me. That's something that I sit there and look at and like, okay, I'm a little bit weary of that. And then I watch the play by Lyubushkin where he comes around the back of the net. He goes into the corner. He makes a backhand pass up the ice. Picked off by Evgeny Malkin. It's a forced play. It's a rushed play. Malkin cuts across the ice, goes to make a shot at the net. Puck comes out to Rickard Rakell. He turns and he fires. Like, these are one where it's like, okay, in a scenario where you play the Florida Panthers who bring heavy pressure, they come at you quick, they come at you hard, they are in on the forecheck fast, they take away time, they take away space, and they make you feel uncomfortable. Are you going to be able to battle through that? Are you going to be able to find a way to... It's not like you're looking for a perfect pass, a perfect play each and every time that you get pinned into those situations or you get hemmed in like that. But are you going to panic? Are you going to panic and make a bad play, make a bad decision? Because in the playoffs, that's what we've seen this team do in years past. And I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill here. That's one incident that happened here tonight. It did happen later on to a lesser extent, and they didn't get penalized for it. But it's the same thing that we've seen before, and it's something you have to eliminate from your game, especially when the game tightens up like that, because you give a team chances like that. You turn the puck over like that in your own zone while the other team is bringing pressure. It's a momentum killer to yourself. It's a momentum builder for the other team. And it's a little bit of a backbreaker, like those ones where we used to watch the Bruins come down the ice and fire one off Freddie Anderson's ass with 3 minutes left in the third period. So that was something that I saw that was negative here tonight. It just makes me question a little bit. I'm not really going to say that I have like crazy concerns about it, but it's something that I looked at. When he was acquired. I felt like we had seen it when he was here with the team in the year that he was traded for, like 2 seasons ago, whatever it was. Saw that play tonight, kind of went, oh, fuck. Like, that's something we just need to clean up. That's just something that needs to be dialed in. 6 1/3 saying, is Zack going negative? I'm not doing this, Zack. No problem, brother. You don't have to do it. We're not being negative. We're just we got to be realistic about the team. Like, we're talking about plays that happen. We're talking about situations that occurred here tonight, and something that we got to look at going into the playoffs where you're 6 games away now. Those are some sloppy little plays that just can be cleaned up, because in the regular season, yeah, this is a desperate team. I mean, I saw Gord talking about it in the chat there. You're looking at a team who needs every single point that they can possibly obtain here. It's not negativity. It's just and analyzing what went on. So we got to be realistic about that. We'll break down a bunch of stuff, and we'll keep talking about what went on in this game here tonight. I just think that that's one of those things where you're just kind of looking at and being like, hey, we got to figure this out, boys. Like, you look around the room, you just say, hey, we'll tighten this up. You clean up some of those plays. It's just not going to be as costly as when you get to the playoffs. We got someone on the line here now, a special guest. Someone you guys know and love very well. I'm happy to have him on the show here tonight. We haven't heard from him in a little while. But he's a man that does not need an introduction from myself. He's a man that has his own introduction that you guys have all been clamoring for over the last little while. Let's play the music.
Okay, are you ready? Let's go! Don't go change it. Do it your way. Go down blazing. Don't go change it. Do it your way. Go down blazing. Sugar, spice, everything nice. Have a little class and do it right. I gotta say the way I feel. That's right. Buttercup, this is serious stuff. I love the people. You ready? Go. I don't get enough time in this show. I love the people. How's it going? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. How you doing? Lovely to look at and delightful to see. Love the hat. A wise guy, eh? You look good, really. You look good. Don't go change it. Do it your way. Go down blazing. Don't go change it. Do it your way. Go down blazing. Doing that one for the old grapes. Go down blazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, I could give him an intro, but none will do it as much justice as that one right there. Ohio, welcome from Japan, the man himself, Gordon Graham, as you see him in the chat. Welcome to Gord's Corner. Gord, how's it going?
Hi, Ohio gozaimasu.
Ohio gozaimasu.
You nailed it, guy.
That's how I do. Bilingual out here. Leafs Nation After Dark. Ohio say that again. Say it again, Gord.
Ohio gozaimasu.
Ohio gozaimasu. There we go. Banger. There we go. What's up, Gord? How you feeling tonight after this win?
Great.
Oh, good morning for you.
Here, pouring rain. I'm off on spring vacation, so enjoying. Yeah, good hockey game. I thought that was, a desperate Pittsburgh team that's been playing really well, and I thought that the Leafs did a really good job taking away the middle of the ice and pressuring the puck. So I thought that, of course, in any game you're going to get a few blips here and there. And I agree with you, like on the gaff, on the Lyubushkin gaff. However, saying that, in the Tampa series with the Tampa and the Leafs, when Lyubushkin was playing up on the first pairing with Riley, he had a heck of a series. He had a heck of a series, shutting down Stamkos, shutting down Kucherov, shutting down Point up until he got hurt.
I'm not as much trying to pinpoint it on Lyubushkin, by the way. You are right, and I think that happened in that series. I more so was just pointing out it did happen twice from him. I think that anyone on this team is open to have those errors. It's more just that it feels like in the past few seasons when this team has lost those playoff rounds, I did lose to Florida last year. Those are things that came up often, where it was just the inability to handle pressure coming at you that causes you to make bad turnovers, errors that you can't say unforced, like they're caused by the other team, but it's just how well you're going to be able to handle it.
Yeah, I saw that play, that Malcolm play developing, and I'm saying as it's occurring, just chip it out, just chip it out. And he hung on to it just that little half second too long, trying to make a play out of it, where he should have just did the safe play and just chipped it out into the neutral zone, and that would have been the play to make. But yeah, I mean, you with players like Labushin and why do I always forget that guy's name? The French kid, not Poulin.
Benoit.
Sorry, Benny. I get it's age, man. It's age. Sorry.
That's all good, Gord.
Yeah. So with players like that, you're gonna get some gaffes with the puck. I mean, that's the trade-off. So what's the trade-off? You're gonna get gaffes with the puck. You're gonna trade that off for having guys that are stout down low, boxing out net front. So I'm willing to live with the odd gaff there. I'd rather have those guys cough up the occasional puck than Brody, who's can't box out net front, who doesn't win those 50-50 battles down low. And he is prone to coughing up the puck a lot too. Although he looked good tonight. And I could picture him on a third pairing with Edmondson when he gets back in the lineup, right? So that could work as a third pairing and keep that McCabe and Benoit seem to really work well together. And McCabe is really playing well, like on both sides of the puck recently. He's of course, you're going to isolate on any single player, Hedman, even Makar. You're going to look at those guys. They're going to gaff up the puck every now and then. It just happens in the course of a 60-minute game. Guys are going to gaff up the puck, right? But I don't know if on the most part, McCabe has really been playing well with the puck. Like we all know what he does without the puck. His physical game. The guy's just playing outstanding. He's just playing outstanding. I mean, he's gotten better, hasn't he? I don't know. Is it me or has he gotten better since he first came on board with the Leafs?
Well, I think there's a level of comfort that's come from him being here and being in the system. I would agree with that. I also think that one of the things that it surprisingly enough really helped him and kind of took his game to another level was being matched up with Benoit, which may be shocking to people because you say, hey, Riley or Brody or whoever you want to name that had even been here before, those are probably better players or a better partner for him. But maybe it's not just about the skill level of the guy that's playing alongside you. Maybe the fact that you have a guy like Benoit who, like Gord, the one thing I look at with him where people kind of say, oh, it's not like he's that great. Well, no, he's not. But the thing is, you know what you're going to get out of Benoit every single night. It's meat and potatoes hockey. He keeps it simple. He keeps it smart. He doesn't play outside of his element. And for a guy like Jake McCabe, that probably makes his life a million times easier. You play with Morgan Riley, it's Forrest Gump situation. It's box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Some nights he's going to be overly aggressive, jumping into the offensive play. Other nights he's holding back a little bit. And I don't really have a problem with that as long as he's got himself the right partner. But that might make it more difficult for the other guy beside him. So McCabe maybe just looks across and goes, you're going to hit guys, you're going to block shots, and you're going to flick the puck out of the zone into the neutral zone. Perfect. Like, that works for me. Exactly, I'll play my game.
Like, he knows this guy's staying home. So if he sees a chance to move up with the play, he can do that. So I think that's helped his offense a lot. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Hainsey-Riley thing, where Hainsey was just to stay home, allow Riley to be what he wants, where McCabe is a little hybrid. Like, he does have a little bit of that join the play kind of attitude, right? So maybe he's not the guy to play with Riley. Maybe you need the pairings with one stay-home guy, one puck rusher, one stay-home guy, one puck rusher. So... Yeah, I really like that. I really like that pairing. They had those guys paired up before, and then they I don't know, they broke them up. I don't know why. I was kind of frustrated about that. I wanted to see them.
Well, it's Sheldon, man.
Yeah, like I hope now he's figured it out. Like these two guys work well together, and they're both nasty, which is good. They both finish their checks hard. They both and I like the way Benoit, he's looking for that hard check, but he doesn't take himself out of a position to throw it. Caber will do it once in a while. He'll take himself I think there was a goal against the other day where he took himself, like maybe it was against the Habs, I can't remember, but he took himself out of position and it turned into a 2-on-1 where they scored. So he will occasionally get a little bit antsy and go out of his way to make that big hit and leave his partner open. So, but
Yeah.
Benoit doesn't do that. Benoit plays it really good and safe, but he really he's got exceptional skill in terms of like turning for that hip check. Like it's hard when you get NHL speed coming at you and you get guys who have that agility, can make a move. He can position his body to cut those guys off and seal off the boards and seal off even center ice. Like I'm really impressed with his checking ability, his ability to check. Like not just he's got a great like reach and stick, so that's really good for his gap. But his ability to throw the head and cut off ice, it's just outstanding. Yeah, he's chopping Brocky with the puck or whatever, but
Yeah.
I'll take that for everything he does, man, for everything he does. So yeah, that's absolutely fantastic.
We are at well, Gord, there's some other stuff I wanted to dig into a little bit here, and especially in this one tonight, because I think it was very prominent in what we saw in this game. And as well, if you're watching right now and you haven't already, hit that like button. You guys know it, at 50 likes, 100 likes, 150 likes, whatever we get up to, we'll do smelling salts for each set of 50. So hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe here to the channel if you haven't already. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers by the playoffs. It's a lofty goal, but that's what you do. You shoot for this. Well, what is it? You shoot for the moon. If you miss, you land amongst the stars. That's what we're trying to do here. So let's get us to 10,000 by the playoffs. Gord, I want to ask you your thoughts on the special teams, where things are at right now, how you're feeling about the way that these guys are playing. You see, this one pissed me off because, yeah, some of those are obviously penalties. That's fine. You do it. But it's like, it felt like we're watching a ref show here tonight where they thought it was all about them. It was whistle after whistle after whistle. I mean, you were watching Sidney Crosby get bumped into, and these guys are blowing the whistle down because Matthews and Crosby had a collision. Like, what the hell are we doing? This is hockey, not tiddlywinks. But nonetheless, this Leafs penalty kill still dialed in. 5 for 5 for the penalty kill here tonight. 1 for 2 on the power play. What do you make of the resurgence of the penalty kill and kind of where we're seeing the power play trend to right now? Is it just Austin Matthews is that good? He can just finish it within 5 seconds of it starting? Like, what's going on here with special teams and what's contributing to the change in your opinion?
In terms of the power play, I think way back when it was struggling, we were talking about how it just kind of retracted into the middle, and it wasn't pressuring the puck at all. So the power play team had lots of room to move on the outside and set up. And since they've been doing well, I've noticed they're far more aggressive. They're really aggressive on the puck. So whatever the strong side is with the puck, be it the forward or the defenseman, they're really getting out there, telescoping out and pressuring the puck. And I noticed instead of kind of like your typical box or whatever, or parallelogram, so that would be like the parallelogram, meaning the forward closest to the puck carrier will get out there on top, and you get a kind of a tilted box or whatever. But what they're doing is they're almost like the guy going out there and pressuring the puck will go out there. So if I'm the puck carrier, when I'm looking at the play, the center of the ice, I don't just see the guy coming out. I see almost a wall. So it's almost like a straight line. It wouldn't look like a straight line if you're looking at it from the roof downward on it. You know what I'm saying? It looks like a parallelogram. I don't know if anybody can imagine a parallelogram. It's like a tilted square or a rectangle. I don't know. Okay. I don't know what your guys' geometry level is like. So, I live in Japan where mathematics is just second nature over here. So anyway, so if you're looking downwards you see a parallel. But if you're the guy with the puck, you're looking towards the center of the ice. You just see a straight line of Leaf jerseys. They made it so it's straight line, and that you get the guy pressuring the puck. They can't see any seams. There's nowhere to make a pass. There's a hesitation on the puck, just that half-second hesitation. which allows that guy to get a stick on it. You're seeing a lot of guys like Camp getting out there, getting a stick on, pushing the defender outside of the blue line, or breaking up the puck and sending it back the other way. I really notice a difference in their strategy, and their strategy is pressure the puck, and wherever side of the rink the puck is on, make sure when the puck carrier is looking across, all he's seeing is a wall of blue kind of thing. Brilliant, just really brilliant. And look at the results, man. They speak for themselves. Great. And when there is a seam or whatever, Sammy's just dialed in. So I mean, that's amazing to see for the playoffs going in, because as we know, special teams plays a huge role in the playoffs. As far as the power play, I'm still, of course, it's Matthews on the power play. It's Matthews getting dialed in on the power play. I'd still like to see more of the getting in the goalie's grill. And honestly speaking, other than the face-offs, which that beautiful that for me, I don't want to jump the gun, but that's the play of the game. That Tavares looks over his shoulder, sees where Matthews is, draws it right to the sweet spot, and Matthews just lets it go. I mean, what a beautiful draw by Tavares.
Lets it go on 1 foot, by the way.
Yeah, on the back back foot, eh? So that on the back foot. So a heck of a shot. But it's in a kind of weird way, you can get a little bit more torque on it right there, eh? So that was quite a good shot. But that draw was just something else by Tavares.
Yeah.
He intentionally looks over and sees that, and they did a little replay on the goal against the Tampa, the same thing, right? They basically a mirror, except the shot was much better tonight. But yeah, I still think that the power play needs adjustment, because when we're going to get into the playoffs, the PK is Florida has a really top of the line PK, so you're going to have to get in. You're going to have to get in Bobrovsky's grill there, and unfortunately, Tavares has the tendency to stand off to the side of the goalie and not in his face.
We've talked about that a lot, right? Yeah.
So, and I prefer Bertuzzi there, getting in the goalie's grill where he can't see the puck.
Yeah.
And then, and then hack and whack at rebounds and stuff like that, right? The thing is, although Bertuzzi's good at down low and loosening pucks and stuff, John is way better. John can get down there and dig pucks out and then dish them out. So I think that's what that and the face-off keeps him on the power play. But honestly speaking, I like Bertuzzi there.
Yeah, no, I do as well. You can obviously understand the idea of, hey, Tavares is being really good on the power play in his career, but I just think that in that spot, with what this team needs and has traditionally needed, Tavares might not be what's going to push them over the top or give them an opportunity for success come playoff time. I think Bertuzzi might just be able to dig a little bit deeper and offer that playoff mentality in front of the net, like a team like Florida would get with having, a Matthew Tkachuk who might go to the front and get involved in the mix in there, like that kind of stuff. So you see things a little bit differently. It just transpires a little bit differently. It gives you a different dynamic for how things are set up and how other teams have to play you, because it's not like they're looking at Burton saying, hey, this guy's a crazy threat in front of our net, but you might have to pay a little bit more attention to him from the standpoint of being able to push people around and open things up physically and get in the eyes of the goaltender. Like, that might be where he becomes more dangerous, and that's something that this team has kind of been lacking a little bit when it comes to the playoff mentality in years past. I would agree, and I think that's something.
Yeah, sorry. And there's two things that does when Bertuzzi stands directly in front of the goalie. Okay, so you're taking away the goalie's eyes on the puck, and the defender has to be on top of Bertuzzi, so he's going to be on top of Bertuzzi, which opens up that lane for Matthews to get the shot off onto the side, right? So if the defender cheats over a little bit towards Bertuzzi, trying to lock up his stick on tips or whatever, and you get the pass over to Matthews, that's one less body to go through. You know what I mean? That's one less body to go, and that's a cleaner shot for him to take off to the side. If you can get the puck off to the side with him and the defender, with Bertuzzi and the defender in the center, in the front of the net. I think it just works. And when they had him doing that, the power play was clicking. It was clicking. It was clicking. And then Tavares came back. They put Tavares back in, and then the power play went stagnant for like a month.
Yeah.
So is that going to happen again? Are they going to be able to adjust to it? Is it just too much of...
Well, and it happens every year in the playoffs, right, Gord? Like the way that we look at the power play in the playoffs, they're not able to create as much time and space and get that for themselves. So when that happens, your power play ends up slowing down. The pace slows down. You're not able to create at the same rate. So I'm interested to see there.
Get that greasy guy in front and sift the puck through. Don't need the big shot from the point. Sift the puck through or get it over to either Matthews or Nylander to get the rips off. But definitely get that greasy guy in front. You got Marner, who's basically a center on the power play. He's the guy who's controlling the play basically down low, right? So you get Marner down low, dishing the pucks. And then you got either shooter on either side, Matthews and Nylander, and you got Riley at the point. And then you got that greasy guy in the front of the goalie. That's, for me, that's the power play.
Yeah.
That's the power play. I'm sorry. I love Tavares, and I'm not a Tavares detractor. Through his struggles in the middle of the season when he looked like he just lost it. He looked like Ryan Reeves there for a while, like he lost it kind of thing, right?
Couldn't move. Yeah,
but he couldn't move. Yeah, he couldn't move, but he looks good now. He's moving better. He's skating better. So he looks good. However, and I don't think they'll do it. I honestly believe they're better off with Bertuzzi than Tavares on that first power play unit.
Yeah, I agree.
That said, I would say the play of the game is that draw to Matthews on the goal. So, I mean, you got that aspect too, right? So, I don't know. It's a tough call.
Gord, we're talking about Bertuzzi here. We're talking about the elements that he brings to the game. I saw a tweet today. It was insane that just kind of the numbers. If it's felt this way. But, we talk about the eye test versus the analytics and some of the underlying things. There's a lot of times they can disagree with each other from what people see to what you read on the like you see that on the charts and it's missing. You're missing all these other elements, but you're going, oh, that's different because that guy brings this other intangible, or it's showing this kind of trends towards a direction where it's becoming more positive. It's becoming something that's creating chances. Well, the tweet that I saw today, it was from a friend of mine, Todd Cordell. He posted, Austin Matthews' individual numbers with Max Domi on his wing are absolutely bonkers. Well clear of when he has Mitch Marner or William Nylander playing right wing one instead. So, in Domi's time with Matthews at 5v5, that's 155 minutes of time on ice. Marner had played 689 minutes with him, according to the chart here at 5-on-5. The goals per 60 with Mitch Marner, 1.65. The goals with Nylander, 1.6. The goals with Domi, 3.1. This is obviously going into tonight's game. Expected goals per 60, 1.13 for Marner, 1.96 for Domi there. Shots per 60, 11.31 with Marner, 18.2 with Domi. I saw that. That was the most reassuring thing I think anybody could have ever seen when you saw that chart come out earlier today, when I saw that chart come out earlier today, because I've talked about it every single time that we see every single time that we see those two guys out on the ice, it feels like there's sheer chaos. And I've said it basically it's chaos in the best way because it feels like controlled chaos. Like it's intentionally done. They're intentionally doing that and creating those opportunities and having that happen. I talk about and joke about Bertuzzi having limbs flailing everywhere and sticks are flying and he's banging bodies and Max Domi is ripping around. The puck seems like it's bouncing everywhere, but it's like they're always in control. They're always handling the pace of play. They feels like they play most of their time in the other team's offensive zone. And I see those stats and it's like, holy shit, everything we're seeing and we're saying is actually real based on the numbers too. Like it's one of those perfect in unison moments where you kind of sit there and can thank the analytics for at least supporting the eye test in that moment, because both communities can kind of come together to say, you guys were right, and it's working in that sense. What do you make of the success of this first line right now? Are you in agreement that just like the way that these guys play, the opportunities that Austin Matthews is going to get in the playoffs are going to be like what we've never seen him get when he was playing? Not to diminish Mitch Marner, but just in terms of how they play in the playoffs and how they play together, anything we've seen with him have with Marner in the playoffs in the past.
Well, I think they're going to keep that line together. I mean, obviously, it's working well, so they're probably going to keep that line together. And I think that what that does is it's not so much that Domi works better with Matthews than Marner does. I think what that does is that just makes another line stronger. That's all. So if it makes another line stronger, then that other line can have some success in the playoffs. And then the defending team, it's not just one line. So up until now, it's just like, okay, we'll shut down, which is one of the reasons that Nylander has such good playoff stats in recent years, is just like, because the other teams focus on Matthews and Marner. So Nylander gets a weaker defensive matching, so he's going to have more success. Now you got two lines that are going, right? Or possibly three. To be honest with you, what I would do with the second line is, this might be a hot take, but I really, really liked that Kampf, McMahon, and Nyes line that they had briefly together. That line just put all kinds of pressure on the opposing team's D.
You would have this as your second line, Gord? Sorry?
No. I would have that as my third line, and my second line would be Tavares, Nylander, and Marner.
Right.
So Tavares, Nylander, and Marner. You could put Marner on left wing, right wing, center. Marner can play anywhere, right? So you can, whatever Nylander's comfortable with, the right side or the left side, I would have that as my second line. And my third line would be basically my checking line with Kampf, Nyes, and McMahon, but a checking line that can also get in on the forecheck, sustain a forecheck, and get some scoring chances. And then basically my fourth line is, I'm going to roll three lines, and just every blue moon I'm going to roll a fourth line. That's what Tampa did when they won the Cup. That's what Florida basically did. They rarely played their fourth line. Tampa rarely plays their fourth line. So every once in a while I have Holmberg, Reeves, and who else is Dewar, or whomever it is on that fourth line. It just every once in a blue moon but I roll those three lines. I roll the two, roll the three. But I would definitely load up that second line with Marner, Nylander, and Tavares. And then that first line, just let it go. And I really, really, really like that Kampf, McMahon, Nyes line. Three big guys, three big, fast guys that can sustain a forecheck, that are all fairly sound defensively. Nyes could use some work, but McMahon and Kampf are good defense. Like, I like that as a third line. They had that for a short time, and it looked really, really good. I doubt that'll happen, but for me, I'd like to see that. I'd really like to see that. And I think Marner together with Nylander and Tavares would be great, because you have Nylander and Tavares are shooters, and you get Marner the disher.
But I would just switch it. I just wouldn't do it, because you could get a guy. You could get a guy with you like McMahon on that second line, like they are right now, who's the hustle guy. He's the hard worker who gets the puck back. And I'm not saying that Tavares and Marner aren't going to be the hard workers, but you throw McMahon in there. He's the big, heavy guy on that line who goes to the front of the net and drives the stick down that Marner can just throw the puck across to, because he's faster than Tavares. He's going to get himself in some of those opportunities a little bit more, but he can also be the first guy into the zone. So when Marner crosses center and he flips it in, it's not going to be Tavares who's winning the race down there. We know that. It's not going to be Marner who's going down there and winning the physical battle. Well, maybe it could be McMahon who does both. That's kind of where I see that being the case, because if you put Willie onto that line, you kind of start to miss out on some of that, and you might get caved physically a little bit. Like, you might start to get bullied, whereas you have McMahon, and I'm not talking about you're getting pushed around in scrums and stuff. Like, I think the way this team is starting to solve a lot of that. I'm talking about behind the goal line when you go in forecheck, or when you're getting forechecked and it's along the wall or whatever. A McMahon might be a guy who can overcome that a little bit more than where you're going to go across and have three of essentially the same. You know, they're obviously different. They have their own versatilities. They're versatile because they have their own styles and things that they do that can contribute positively to a game. But McMahon just brings that different element that I would prefer to keep on that line. And then I would just holster Nylander and be like, oh, we're down in the third period. Oh, we're falling behind here late in the second. Nylander, now you go with the second line. And now we just go crazy with the offense and put those guys together and let them run free. But I would just spread it out more personally, because I think it just gives you three waves of attack offensively. You're going to have the fourth line that has actually played pretty well and done a good amount, or good amounts of just kind of making sure you get through shifts, not making big mistakes, getting down in the offensive zone, being able to kind of contribute a little bit just to, you know, maintaining pressure, and then obviously beat the shit out of somebody every now and then when Ryan Reeves needs to. But I just look at the first three, and I pretty much agree with you with deployment there in terms of minutes and how you rotate them and then how you mix in the fourth line. I just look at it a little bit differently with, hey, take Nylander out of there, put him onto the third line. You just let him drive his own line. I think he's capable. And I saw a comment in the chat from Mike Batson. The other thing that I agree with from Mike is he's saying, you know, Marner is obviously better than Domi, but Marner should be able to run his own line. Domi can't. I think that's spot on. So that's kind of like, obviously that's not what you were touching, but I just wanted to get Mike's comment out there because I think it's pretty accurate to what we're seeing and how these lines are shaping out. You get Matthews on a line, he drives the line. You get Marner on the line, he drives the line. Well, now you got two line drivers together. You got Tavares on a line, Nylander on a line. They're both capable of driving a line. Now who drives three? Who drives... Like, you can give yourself three line drivers on three different lines and let them run free and basically say to the other team, good luck fucking stopping this. Because when you've gotten your matchup out against Austin Matthews and you get through it, now you go to the second line and you get that matchup out there as well. Now, okay, you think you're free. You think you've made it through. Guess what? William Nylander and Matthew Nyes are coming over the boards. They're going to go hard to the net. They're going to crash the corners. They're going to win about, yeah, like, you know what I'm saying, general line. I'm not saying William Nylander is doing that, but they're also going to go up and down the ice pretty easily. Yeah, there's going to be some defensive deficiencies, but you're, for the most part, going to be able to control things offensively, and I think that's what I would prefer. Like, that's just where I would build it out, but I would just holster that idea of, hey, Nylander going up to the second line, and now you've got it. You can throw him up there, and now you're going to get those two lines when it comes to the desperation part of the playoffs that every team at some point is going to experience throughout a game or a series or whatever on their way to a Stanley Cup if you're going to achieve the ultimate goal.
Yeah, I like the second line as it is now. I like McMahon. I like exactly for the reasons that you said. So, I just felt that third line felt like Nylander was a little bit wanting on, a few plays. He seemed to be a little frustrated with Holmberg a few times. Like couldn't get him the puck in good spots, and he just looked a little bit frustrated, just a little bit. But I do agree. I like the second line as it stands. I think one of the guys in the chat, Jim Bianchini, sorry if I butchered your name there, Jim, but he made a good point about Domi being a more direct player than Marner. Like Marner, you'll see him do a lot of like the, enter the blue line and then cross, stop up, curl back and do that. And then kind of he'll slow the play down, essentially. Looking for that perfect play or whatever, right? He'll slow the play down. Where Domi is just north and south. Boom, 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 boom. And because of that, seemed to be a lot more direct plays on the net as a result, Yeah. So I think that was a good point there brought up by the Jim Bianchini. I guess that's how you say it, Jim? Good
Jimmy
point.
B. Our guy Jimmy B. Yeah, no, I think it's a good point as well. I would agree with that. I like where that first line is at. Let's talk about some defensive pairings. We'll talk about what happened here tonight a little bit as well. We saw it in the post game there. I saw a tweet come out from Mark Masters that was saying Jake McCabe took ownership from the goal by O'Connor that was scored. He said basically that was his fault. That was his man. He had to have that guy. They tie the game up with 6:22 left. Makes up for it with an overtime win there. We talked about that pairing. Outside of that, we're kind of looking at probably going to have Riley and Lyubushkin being your pairing number one. We're in an absolute jumble here down in the bottom of this lineup because you, from matchup-wise, from pairing-wise, injuries, age, lack of level of play, it's been a nightmare down there. Connor Timmins, TJ Brody, Mark Giordano, Joel Edmondson, who played well when he first got here, then got hurt, rotating through those guys in the bottom pairing. What the hell do we do there, Gord? What do you look at this and you say that's the way I've got to do it? Like that's what we've got to do. That's who we've got to be in this lineup. That's who's got to play together. I don't care about their names. I don't care about their reputation in the league. I don't care about how much money they're making. Who is your 5-6? Like, I know that this is getting crazy that we're talking about 5-6, but who's your 5-6 as you go into this? And are you worried about the D at all? Do you think they're better than where they've been at before? Also, quickly, 50 likes here on the stream. I appreciate it. I'll hit the smelling salts for everybody. Thank you very much.
Buddy.
All right, go ahead, Gord. What are your thoughts on the defense and where we're at right now?
Okay, here's what I think it's going to be, okay? Now, what I want it to be is different, okay? So here's what I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Riley, Lyubushkin, McCabe, and Benoit, and Edmondson, and Brody. I think that's what it's going to be. So I think you're going to see Brody down on the bottom pairing with Edmondson, which I like kind of, but to be honest with you, I would probably have I don't know. I would probably have Brody out. I would have Brody out, to be honest with you. And then
who are you putting in?
What's Liljegren's injury? I heard he's out for the rest of until the playoffs. What's his injury?
Upper body. I don't know if it was disclosed. I thought maybe I saw shoulder, but it was upper body for sure. Let me find something.
Upper body. That could be anything. That could be oblique. That could be anything. Who knows? But yeah. I think that's the way it's going to line up. I think it's going to be Edmondson and Brody as the third pairing. With the next guy up will probably be Gio. But probably, I don't know. Who would you prefer in that third pairing, Liljegren or Brody?
I think Brody, because I think if you limit his minutes and you put him, because Edmondson, I believe, can play on the right side. So if you put Brody on the left side there, then I think it takes away his minutes. It takes away some of the matchups that he's got to compete with. We saw him excel while Riley was out in some of those situations where he's playing with a different partner. He's playing with someone who thinks differently, plays differently, and his game kind of was able to level out. And we saw him get into a good spot, and then Keefe kind of just said fuck it and threw them back together. I'm just like, oh my god, okay, well, like, we saw this not work for so long, which is one thing that worries me about Keefe. But I probably go with Brody there. I think that just at the end of the day, we've seen him make some massive mistakes, but I think some of that in the playoffs, but I think some of that is just due to exposure. And I think some of that is just he was playing in the wrong role. He was playing too many minutes against top opponents on other teams where you can hide him a little bit if you put him in the third pairing. You say to Edmondson, you go bully the hell out of every top player on the other team if you get matched up against them. You bully the hell out of the guys that come through. And TJ Brody can be there in a little bit more of a limited role, like Phenom's saying. If they keep him at like 16 to 18 instead of 21 plus, it seems like it'll alleviate his game. It alleviates the stress that he has to deal with throughout a game. That's something I think would work. The other part of it, Gord, here, I know that you are a fan of Liljegren, and I am as well. I do have concerns with just it feels like he hasn't picked up on things as quickly as we maybe would have liked him to at this point, where I think you and I were having discussions like a year ago, 2 years ago about Liljegren being like, hey, we can trust this, or we should be playing this guy because we see all these positives. You see this ceiling that we think is, as throw an example of how high out there it is, but you think it's that high, so you're thinking, hey, we could get to that, but it's now been a year, 2 years since those conversations, and it feels like, at least maturity-wise, it hasn't maybe caught up as quickly, which can be very costly in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. He is prone to the odd brain cramp. Like he does some really strange things sometimes. Like he's just playing this wonderful, solid game on both sides of the puck, offensively, defensively. Suddenly he'll just do something that's like, what? Why did he do that? Kind of thing, Just what? So yeah, and you don't need that in the playoffs. You need someone. Of course, Brody is prone to that too. But I like Brody with Edmondson. I like to see that that pairing on the third set. To be honest with you, I really liked. I mean, that game Edmondson played against Edmonton was just outstanding, just absolutely outstanding. And that was kind of like a playoff atmosphere type game. Like that was a statement game for Edmonton. They wanted to show, Toronto that they're the team to beat in the West, and that Toronto wanted to show them like, hey, look, we're the top team over here. So that was an all out hustle game, and Edmonton was, in my opinion, first star of that hockey game.
Yeah.
And I think
also quickly here, I want to say as well, people are saying in the chat, Brody looked good tonight. Brody looked pretty solid tonight, and giving Brody credit. I'm not disagreeing with that. And I think that, like, we're looking at the amount of minutes that he played and the role that he played. I don't disagree with that. I'm more concerned about a series. It's not as much the one-off game, because we've seen him in one-off games this year be like, hey, you look good tonight. Brody had a good night. Brody was positive on the game. I'm talking about over 7 games when a team matches up with him 7 nights, 7 separate nights. That's when we
Brody
might
got
see things
walked
start
in the biggest moment against Tampa and Florida. He got walked by Jake Paul like a turnstile. He got walked by, who was it, from Florida?
Nick Paul, by the way. Nick
Paul. Yeah. Sorry, what did I say?
Jake Paul.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. So he got walked. I got that Tyson fight on my mind. He got walked by Nick Paul in that game. He got walked by who I can't remember who it was. Was it Montour? Yeah, Montour on a rush. He got walked by him in the floor. He at the biggest moments in the biggest games, he has an issue, man. He really does. So that's my worry with him. He did look good tonight. He does look good some nights. Definitely. Yeah. He's smooth. Like we know what Brody does. He's very good he's good on his edges. He's good at transitioning the puck. He's very smooth at transitioning the puck. But where he gets into problems is, of course, he has trouble net front. He has trouble down low along the boards. He'll do like little things like I'm going to do a little def behind the back play along the board rim. He doesn't even check the shoulder, and the opposing player just pick up, thanks for the loose change. Thanks for the loose change there, Brody. Like, that happens way too often. And again, I said this umpteen times. He's just too much. His gap is too big. Like, those things matter. You're giving the opposing team the entry. That's a big issue. And then you can't be physical in the other. Great, you're good at transitions and whatnot, but that's why you stick him with a physical guy with Edmondson who's defensive minded. I like the pairings where you get the defensive minded guy and the offensive minded guy together. You put those two guys together. I like that. I like stay home Edmondson, play, be nasty along the boards, be nasty in front of the net, and let Brody transition the puck. Because you got a team of quick, skilled forwards. You want to get that puck up to them, and I think that's why Keefe gets frustrated with Benoit, and that's why he had him out of lineup. He wants guys to more smooth and quickly to transition that puck. But for me, I'd sacrifice a little bit of that for a more stout defensive stay-at-home guy because
Right.
that's what you need in the playoffs. You need guys that are heavy in front of the net. Like how many goals are chip in or tap in rebounds or tips, those types of things in front of the net where we go, oh man, come on, like just box the guy out kind of thing. So it's for me. I'm pretty sure they're going to have Brody in. I just hope it's on the third pairing with Edmondson and they leave that McCabe and Benoit unit together. I really hope that. I really, really, really hope that. And then hopefully Labushkin can, cut down those kind of plays that you were talking about earlier on this, and
Yeah.
just let move the puck over to Riley, let him do it, and if not, just high and hard off the boards. Get it out, chip it out. Don't even worry about the icing. You got good face-off guys on the team, so don't worry about that. Just get it out, kind of thing. So hopefully they just, they just let him know that the coaching staff just play it safe, guy. Play it safe. Don't try and make plays. It's hard when the teams like got all these quick, smooth, deft moves, moving the puck. Everybody wants to join in and play that game, right? But you see, like Gio will sometimes want to play that game, and he'll make some pretty horrible gaffes. Just keep it simple. You're the simple stay-at-home guy. You are the simple stay-at-home guy. You don't got to play high and hard off the boards. Don't worry about the icing.
Is there anything else tonight, Gord, that was bugging you? Anything else you're like, hey, I got to get that off my chest when I call into Leafs Nation After Dark here tonight?
No, that was a solid, like I said, that was a solid game against a desperate team that's looking to make the playoffs. So we're pushing hard. They took away the center of the ice really well. They pressured the puck well. Like we said, the PK was outstanding, pressuring the puck and limiting chances. I thought really, really good overall. That third line, it looked like that Nylander was kind of a little bit frustrated at times that Holmberg wasn't getting him the puck enough, which is why I'd like to toggle that a little bit. But we'll see how that plays out. I don't know. I'd really like I said, I agree with you on the second line. I like McMahon. McMahon can play anywhere. I'm really impressed with that guy. I really am.
No, I am as well.
That was an awesome tape sauce by Marner in the Montreal game. Oh my goodness, that was beautiful. That was just beautiful.
It was.
McMahon must have been going, oh my goodness, how I ended up from Wainwright, Alberta to here. This is just unbelievable.
Forget about that. How about he was going to be sent down to the AHL earlier, and his time with the Leafs might have been kind of, not done, but like he would have been an afterthought in the whole roster. And now he's playing top six with Mitch Marner and John Tavares, and the fan base is looking at this as like a legitimate solution to go into game one with. This guy was being sent down to the minors. He was going to be playing down the street from me
on
at
waivers.
Coca-Cola
He was on
Coliseum.
waivers. Waivers. Sammy was on waivers, and Jones was on waivers. The Leafs and their bad luck waiver days are long behind us. Look at this year. We got a horseshoe up our butts. That's unbelievable that those three guys, I mean, Martin Jones, that's no small thing. One little tweak, one little something happens in the playoffs. Look at how, you get, what was it, Colorado fuse back. They had Frank Coos or whatever, their number
Frank
one
Coos,
goal. Yeah, and Hutchison, a guy, a wagon team like Colorado, and you turn around and there's Hutchison, there's Hutch behind you, and Frank Coos behind you. You know what I'm saying? Like one little incident, and bang, you could be out a goalie. That having a pro as your third goalie, an NHL pro, not an AHL guy. It's not just so lucky that the Leafs were so. Yeah,
I mean, Gord, they waived Samsonov.
I know. But everybody was hoping somebody would look. All us Leaf fans are going, somebody pick him up so we have that extra money at the deadline that we can bolster the team, right? We were all hoping for it. Everybody thought the guy's career was done. Everyone thought Reeves' career was done. At the beginning of the year, everyone thought Reeves' career was done. Yeah. The Leafs, I don't know. Maybe there's something, man. There's something this year that might be just a little bit different than years past. And you touched
Oh
on it
no.
earlier.
Oh no. This year's
Oh no,
different,
here
Gord.
I
We're
go.
having the this year's different conversation.
Oh no, here we go.
Yeah.
You pulled me back in. It's like Dumb and Dumber, man.
We start
Just
dipping,
like,
we start saying we're out on this team, it's not going to happen, and then just you're right back in. You get to the playoffs and you're right back in, and you're saying to your buddies, you're saying to your spouse, you're saying, no, trust me, this year's different. Don't plan the vacation for April. Don't plan it for May, because we're going to be playing hockey into mid-June. Don't do it. We're going to be doing that. We're going to be need to be around for the parade. But yeah, I know. We're right back in, eh, Gord?
yeah, we're right back in it. Okay, so anyway, I'll let you guys go. Thanks for having me, Zach. I really appreciate it. Let's work on that 10,000 subscribers, guys. Great channel here. So, up to 8,000 now. 181. Wonderful.
81,
Keep it
81.
going,
Phil
lad.
Kessel right there.
All right.
All right, Cord. Thank you for calling in. We appreciate it as always. Thank you for taking the time to do this. You enjoy the rest of your day, because it is the morning out there in Japan. I don't know if it's, Ohio gozaimasu.
Ohio gozaimasu. Okay. Sayonara. Okay, see you
Sayonara.
guys. See you, chat.
Thanks,
Go
Gord.
Leafs, go. See ya.
There you go. Gord calling in Gord's Corner here tonight. Helping us break this one down. Tell us everything about tell us everything that went on from his perspective all the way out there in Japan. We always appreciate Gord taking the time to do that for us. So thank you very much to him. Again, as always, in the future, it's not just Gord, it's not just Alex, it's not just the guys that you see here on the channel in Leafs Nation Morning Take that come on and talk about everything. It's not just Carter Hutton and Anthony Stewart. This is a fan-driven show. That's why we try to talk to you guys in the chat as much as possible. Answer your questions. Answer the super chats. You guys are always welcome to call into the show. You can message me on Twitter at ZackPhill, ZackPhill, at ZackPhill. If you want to call in, you can message me on Instagram. If you got me on Discord, you can message me there. Anything like that, make sure to do. The other thing I want to remind people of, I'm sorry, I'm going to take a minute here to remind people, but we're getting ready for the playoffs. We're about a week away, and you don't want to go into the playoffs unprepared. You want to make sure that you are suited and booted with some Bleed Blue Leafs Nation playoff gear. They're nearby, and we are bleeding blue here on the Leafs Nation, whether it's in the morning take or if it's on the After Dark show here, if it's in game previews, if it's in clips. It doesn't matter. We're bleeding blue. And you should be too. Nation Gear is ready to gear you up for Toronto's playoff run. You can rep your favorite team as they battle for the cup. You can shop exclusive Bleed Blue playoff tee and more at nationgear.ca. Make sure to check that out. The link is in the description there as well. So the link is in the description, and the link should be in the pinned in the bio of. Pinned in the bio, my goodness. Pinned in the comment section of the show here tonight. If you do want to go and get yourself some playoff gear, which you should. You're going to want to make sure you get it in time. Like, we know that this team is going to go deep this year, obviously. You're going to need that gear for 4 rounds. You want to make sure you get it, though, for round 1. You don't want to wait until round 2, wait until round 3. You don't want to just risk it and wait till the Stanley Cup, because now that you're through 3 rounds and you haven't worn it yet, if you get it for round 4, maybe it's bad luck. You want it now. You want it ready for game 1 of the first round. Head on over to nationgear.ca. Get your Nation gear right now. You guys have asked me in the past. You said, Zach, are you going to get merchandise? Zach, are you going to be able to have playoff gear for the people? We are at the Nation Gear, or at nationgear.ca. That's nationgear.ca. Make sure to head on over there. Pick up your Bleed Blue shirts. Now, I want to address some other stuff from tonight's game, some other things that we didn't necessarily talk about with Gord there. I saw a comment about it earlier about Samsonov. I think it was Handshake Line Respect bringing up that Sammy had let through a few kind of squeakers. I would agree with that. I believe it was against Florida, where he was making some incredible saves that we were looking at in the first couple of periods, where the game could have been very, very different, or felt very, very different through that point, where it wasn't necessarily like they were bringing an insane amount of pressure, but it was just Sammy making some crazy saves. We've seen him doing it over the last little while, but as Handshake Line does point out, it has come a little bit off of him letting some stuff through him. The thing that I'll give him the credit on, though, right now is it seems like he's handling things mentally well. It seems like the team around him is handling things mentally. It seems like everyone's just kind of in a good place, in a positive mindset about his level of play, his confidence level, and everyone else seems to have confidence in him, which just is going to continue to bring things up. You know, it's that push from each other where you trust your teammates, you know your teammates trust you, it bounces back and forth. You're just going to have more and more confidence and be able to do that. We know Sammy's a guy who can kind of black out in the right way. You know, he go into the playoffs and he can put up some insane numbers. He can put up some 950s, 970s. He can steal you some games in the playoffs. We saw it in last year's playoff run against Tampa where he had some insane games. I just feel like, hey, you know what? Based on the fact that we know things can go that well for him, I'm willing to continue to put my trust in him as my number one goalie entering game one of the playoffs. And I'm willing to kind of take that risk because, as Handshake pointed out, and I don't disagree with, is he's letting some of those through. But my pushback on it would be at the beginning of the year, those go through and those go in. Now they go through, and for the most part, he's recovering. Sometimes, like the O'Connor goal that ties the game up there, it's going to get buried. It's going to get put away. And Sammy's just letting that thing through. Like, yeah, it's kind of tough. I'll be really honest. It's kind of tough to see that. You're like, how the fuck did that thing get through? But I think for 99% of the rest of the game, he's being really strong. And he's been capable of getting things done in there and be able to kind of stand behind this team. And Mike is saying Sammy might be good enough, but still an unknown. Mike, fair, but was Jordan Binnington known that he was going to go insane in that playoff run? Was Adin Hill known that he was going to go insane in that playoff run? Like, Adin Hill wasn't even a part of your top two goaltenders going into the season last year. I think having an elite goaltender is a luxury. I've made this argument in the past. I know a lot of people have some pushback on it. That's fine. I get it. Having an elite goaltender is a luxury. Having Vasilevsky, Ottinger, Sorokin, Rinne, Shesterkin, I'm probably missing somebody. I apologize to whoever I'm missing off the top of my head right now. That is something that you are at where you're like, we have a luxury right now. The thing I think with goaltenders is that if you have at least an average or above average goaltender, as long as they can get hot, you're fine. If a guy goes and starts going crazy and he's just making saves like a maniac, you're going to be fine in the playoffs. You just get a guy who gets hot at the right time, and usually it's going to come from a goaltender who was already average or above average, and I think at least what you have here with these guys is that level. So you can be happy with that. You can be happy with where you're at. I'm not really worried, and I think that him having that confidence that he has right now is really, really, really solid. Mike saying if Wall gets shut out tomorrow, then what? Nothing changes to me. I don't think Wall plays on Thursday. I think you still give the net back to Samsonov on the Thursday game. You give the net to Wall on Saturday. But Mike, you have to kind of look at some of the body of work. If Wall gets a shutout and Samsonov tails off and lets in 8 goals in his next start, then yeah, the conversation changes a little bit. But for me, at least, Wall gets a shutout tomorrow, it doesn't really change the narrative here for me yet. Like, it doesn't move the needle enough for me to say Samsonov is no longer the guy in game 1. The other thing I want to bring up here, just giving kudos to Sammy. 938 save percentage here tonight. He makes 30 saves on 32 shots against. There was a good amount of high danger chances, it felt like, for the Penguins, or just chances that, you kind of looked at and were like, wow, we gave up that, point blank shot from Sidney Crosby, or Crosby's able to find guys, and Samu's just making some incredible saves. In terms of the deserve to win a meter, we kind of got caved in a little bit there. 63% here deserve to win for the Penguins. Again, guys, this is just where I'm looking at with this team, where it's like, as backwards as hell as it is, it feels like this is the best chance you're going to have, because how many times in the past years have we looked and been like, well, we were on 63% of the deserve to win a meter and we lost. We caved them in for 80% on the deserve to win a meter and lost. feels like the first year where we're looking at all these games and I like click on it and I'm like, we lost 55-45 on the deserve to win meter. Oh, we lost 60-40 on the deserve to win. We lost 62.5 to 37.5 on the deserve to win meter. We still won the game, and as Rosie had kind of brought up when he came on after the Panthers game, you're playing a desperate team, you're playing a hungry team, you're playing a team that's trying to fight back, and you hold them off. And you get the win, and you walk away, and you could be happy because you found a way to get it done. Like, that's what I'm looking at him being like, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe Gordon and I have been dragged into the fight here too much, but it feels like there's a differing mentality that we've seen develop through the season that we didn't see at the beginning of the year. And it feels like some of what Tree Living wanted to implement has started to become a part of the fabric of this team. All right. Let's get our final couple of things before we get out of here. It is a Monday night. We are at an hour and 10 minutes on tonight's show. I appreciate everyone who watched. By the way, there's many ways to consume the show. You can watch on Twitter. You can watch on YouTube, which I got to figure out the Facebook because something seems to be wrong there. I apologize to anybody who wants to watch on Facebook. You can listen on radio, but as well, you can listen on podcast form. Wherever you get your podcasts, the Leafs Nation After Dark. You can check the podcasts out. They come out after the games happen. Obviously, we can't go live to the podcast platforms yet. I'm sure that technology will come at some point. Well, the radio exists right now. But you can also check out the podcast after the fact. Even if you watch the game, which I hope you watch the stream, I hope you watch the stream. You can head over and check out the podcast the next morning. Maybe it's so good you want to hear it twice. That's where you can head on over to the Leafs Nation After Dark. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to check it out. Subscribe, rate, review. I want to see comments in there. I want to see what you guys' thoughts are. I have thoughts on something else. And I know that our friends at Bet99 are going to be happy about it because they got some money from us here tonight. And that's because I bet on Michael Bunting to record a point at plus 105. And look, I still think that was a good bet. We did a full unit on it. It was tougher. We went all the way in. Thought we had a good number. He's playing on the second line. He plays with Evgeny Malkin. He's playing on the first power play unit. And I think that the way the game played out, aside from the fact that we actually lost the bet and it didn't happen, I think we could be happy with ourselves for that bet tonight because that was one that I think we were on the right side of. You look at Bunting's night, he was all over it. He was creating opportunities in front of the net. He finishes tonight's game with 6 shots on goal, which is tied with Brian Rust for the most shots on goal tonight from any Penguin in their lineup. He was in front of the net, tipping pucks. Like, this guy was just all around it. It just didn't happen for us here tonight. I thought a goal might happen, but I wanted to go to the plus 105. I felt a little bit more confident in there, even just if something hit him in the ass, and then it was one of his line mates that was able to bury. He was on for the goal. He was on for the goal that was scored by the Penguins to open the scoring. He just unfortunately did not get a point for us. So when we gave out that bet, plus 105, Michael Bunting to record a point. We just needed a point, guys. We needed an assist, a goal. It didn't matter. We just needed a point. We don't get it, so we lose. So we're going to be sad. We are still up on the year based on the fact that we won a bet on Saturday night there. Decent plus money, plus 135 against the Habs, the minus 1.5. But then you kind of look into tonight. It sucks. We lost. We went a full unit on this one. But that's why we manage the bankroll. You play this based on confidence level of what you're looking at, what you're betting on, and you utilize what you've won already to bet responsibly on whatever you're going to be betting going forward. You manage the bankroll properly. Use your bankroll, your confidence level to make sure you adjust how much you're staking on any given night, on any given bet accordingly, and we'll be fine. We'll be fine in the long run. We'll try our best to continue to win money here, still up on the season as I mentioned, but lost this one tonight. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry to the chat. And Bet99, you think you got the best of us tonight? That's fine. We're coming for a vengeance tomorrow. Like, this is, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. We got punched in the face here. I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning. I'm going to get out of my bed. I'm going to put my Leafs PJs on. And I'm going to go to work. I'm going to start looking at the board. I'm going to start looking at the lines. I'm going to start looking at the matchups. I'm going to see who's out there against certain players, who's playing for the Devils that's matching up against what line for our team, and where we might be able to take advantage of some stuff. And you might not even see it coming. So we're going to figure some stuff out. We'll be back tomorrow. But thank you to Bet99 for sponsoring the show. We do appreciate it as always. And if you haven't yet, you should be signed up at Bet99, your local Canadian sportsbook and online casino built by Canadians for Canadians. With top-tier customer service, fast payouts, and smooth transactions, Bet99 should be your choice of sportsbook. You must be 19 plus. Please play responsibly. Available to persons in Ontario only. Thank you. Make sure to head on over to Bet99 if you are going to be betting. Support the show. That's one of the other things here as well. Couple things left to get to tonight. Let's start with our play of the game. Play of the game, I mean, It's hard to not give it to this one. I have to give it to it. The play of the game is going to be the Austin Matthews goal. 65 on the season. He's breaks through the 100-point barrier the other day. Gets through. Now he's just kind of in cruise control when it comes to where he's at. Other than trying to get to 70, we all know 70 is still going to be on the mind. You get through 77. You got 5 games left. You need 5 goals to get it. I do agree with Rosie that I think he still needs a multi-goal game here if he's going to achieve it, because it seems like the sentiment from Leafs fans everywhere, from Nick that I've heard talking about it on the morning show, as well as the way that they're going to deploy these guys, we're probably going to see some rest throughout the remainder of the year. We're going to see some of these guys taking seats in certain games where it doesn't really matter that much. Obviously, we all know we clinched, so you got over that hump. You keep moving forward. It feels like he just needs a multi-goal game, but 65 to be put in the same conversation of having a season where you scored as many goals as Alex Ovechkin in his single season, a guy who was deemed as, one of the greatest goal scorer. He was still chasing Wayne Gretzky. You're ahead of milestones that he had put out there for himself. You're ahead of milestones that he's chasing after. Obviously, isn't passing Gretzky, but he's second in the NHL all-time goals list. And Austin Matthews, when you look at age and games played, he's right there on par, if not ahead, in most of those categories. And to think that we could avoid some lockouts, we could avoid some of that stuff, and he has dealt with COVID. He did the COVID year. He did deal with some of that lost games. He dealt with injuries. You might be looking at a spot where, hey, maybe 70 doesn't happen this year, and I think that would kind of suck to not see 70, especially given how hyped up we've all been about it. But we could be something where we're looking at a career here, and he's going to be doing it in a Maple Leafs uniform. That's so cool. That's so cool. And that 65th goal here tonight on the power play, 3-4 seconds in, draws one back to Matthews. He takes one step over to it, which he's a left-handed shot, so he takes one step over to it. And as we talked about, he's on his back foot, moving away at the blue line, bombs it, and it beats Nedeljkovic. He also had a couple of other opportunities here tonight. He could have easily walked away with 66. 67, maybe. I think it's still got to happen if he's going to hit that milestone, but that was such a cool goal. We've seen this guy score any way he wants. We've seen him score in any capacity. He gets it done. It's so cool to watch how capable he is of scoring any way. I'm loving watching this guy this year. It's an absolute blast. 65, joins Alex Ovechkin. He's going to be looking for 66 to take over Ovi. Crosby says before he thinks he could get it. That's pretty cool. That's my play of the game. I do have to give an honorable mention. And, this one probably would have been my play of the game if it wasn't for the context of what Matthews did there. But the Jake McCabe overtime goal, great pass by Matthews across the ice. Nice patience, nice hands by Jake McCabe. Great awareness of when and how to join the rush. Joins the offense, joins in, gets the puck, is able to bury. Man, that deserves an honorable mention to me. I appreciate everything Jake McCabe has done for this team this year. I appreciate the snot that he brings to the game every single night. That's going to be a play of the game. I'm happy to see him get on the board. I'm happy to see him score. I also do want to give a shout out to TJ Brody for that pass across to Matthew Nyes. Beautiful pass, tape to tape, bang. We're talking about a tap-in goal for Nyes there, who's kind of just having a quietly good season, being one of the top, I think he was 3 or top 5 guys on the team as a whole in hits this year. Pretty sick. Good for Matthew Nyes. Great pass by TJ Brody. Final thing. Oh my God. Wow. Final thing on the show here tonight. Grade of the game. Drop yours in the chat as well.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Apologies about the voice crack there. Well, we'll just have to own that one. That was tough. Been doing a lot of shows. It's you don't realize until you get to kind of the end of the season how much it can hit you, especially when you're going in and out of the weather. And yeah, that was, I'll own up to it. That was a tough voice crack. It is what it is. I appreciate you all sticking through it still. Keep hitting the like button. We can still get there and hit 100 likes on tonight's stream and do smelling salts again. Let's give out our grades. Context, I think, would bring it up, but I think overall, I think I'm gonna go with like a B plus. I'm kind of close to where 6 is at with the A minus there. I think that, you know what? Honestly, no, forget it. I'm gonna go A minus. I'm gonna go A minus. This is even closer to an A than probably what I'm thinking. So A minus. Your penalty kill goes 5 for 5 here tonight. You go 1 for 2 on the power play. You still find a way to win the game. You got to think about the desperation that this Penguins team is playing with, especially here in Toronto, especially with Dubas as the GM behind the helm, especially with Bunting on the ice for the Penguins. There was a little bit flat play by the team. I agree with Phenom. I think I'm into the A minus on this one because you also got a 9.38 from Sammy. But we also do have to look at, hey, you gave up that late one. It felt a little bit tough because it was just like some missed assignments. McCabe owned up to it. And he scores the OT winner. So we get through some of that. There's some sloppiness that I would like to clean up. Mike bringing up there as well. Same as Phenom. First period, you want to be better. Agreed, for sure. I'm with you guys on that. I can't disagree there. You'd rather not have to have that lead blown, but this is a desperate hockey team coming in here who's been playing some really, 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 really good hockey lately. You give them the credit that they deserve, and you held them off, and you got to win. It's like what Rosie was said. It's like what we've been talking about here for like the last week now is you're getting out of these games with wins, and I think you should be happy about that. I think that that's something you should be. I think that's something you can take some solace in and be like, hey, you know what? We did it. We got out of here. We got another win. And these are games that traditionally we would have lost. So I'm happy with that. I'm glad my guy Jim was able to get into the live chat tonight. Jim has been a loyal follower of mine for a while now. I appreciate you. Jim hasn't been able to watch live as much, but nice to see him participating in the chat. Shout out to all of you guys who show up every single night. Hurt Locker, Curtis Joseph, Mark, Matt B, Phenom. You guys are the best. Thank you. Gord, obviously. Mike's here all the time. Robert Smith. I just wanted to give shout outs to you guys. I know that there's some names that I'm not saying here right now, but I do appreciate all of you guys. You're not forgotten. Pro Guide Entertainment, you guys are not forgotten. I do appreciate all the support. Thank you for continuing to come back. Thank you for liking. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate you guys giving me this opportunity to be here and talk on this platform after every single Leafs game and be a part of this network. So thank you very much. That's going to do it for me here tonight, guys. I appreciate it. This has been a long one, and you're going to see me tomorrow. Like, we've gone an hour and a half here. It's 11:15, and we're going to be right back at it tomorrow following the game against the New Jersey Devils. And then we're going to be back at it on Thursday following the game against the Devils. And then we'll be back at it on Saturday. So we're going to keep it rocking. Thank you guys so much for tuning in here tonight. This has been game number 77 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, defeating the Pittsburgh Penguins here tonight 3-2 in overtime, moving to 45, 23, and 9. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. Keep Leafs.